that's the reason why we have a 50% rate for divorce. You know, and just as a single person, I've seen like emails, or not emails, on the internet, just going on MSN.com, just in the tax season was talking about, they said 7 tax reasons not to be married.
I saw them, yeah.
Not to be married.
Be married. Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's kind of like it's already in there. And then there's studies, there's polls saying, oh, over 50% of young people say that they will not get married. They want to get married. Why get married when they can go ahead and have a baby if they want to? Why get married when they can go ahead and have fun and eat their cake too and not care? You know, so there's a lot of media, and there's a lot of those kinds of things that kind of interweaves into your daily life. Because I saw that when I was at work, just trying to look up something for a customer. Okay, and then I see those statistics on that, and I'm like, you know. And then if you also break down the divorce rates by race.
Right.
Now, the race was really interesting. That was like a kicker. I had automatically thought that it was going to be white people. I really did. And it was only because almost every white person that I know had gotten divorced. you know, and they asked me about it. Oh, I go over there all the time.
Yeah.
You know, they're all like buddies. You know, so I thought, this must be a white thing. You know?
Yeah, that's right. I hear you. Yeah.
But it was so. So,
but which race was it that was the highest?
The highest were blacks.
Really? Right. That was on the survey.
That was racist.
I told because he started hearing all the funny stories. You know, they go over to each other's house.
The swinging.
You know, they do the little open marriages. They do all the funny little stuff, you know, and they think it's all cute and whatnot. So I thought it was definitely them. Like, that's
Well, see, the other thing that's deceiving, though, and this is why I'm not so much into statistics, because statistics are based upon the group, the culture, the individuals that they use in that particular survey, and then they use that as an umbrella for that particular culture, that race. And you said something about the different religions. Even that can be biased. First of all, you have to understand what is the definition of marriage in the United States.
right.
Because so many people have different definitions of what marriage is. There are people who are married who have been getting abused for 25 years physically. And because it says till death do we part, until, you know, for better or for worse, I'm staying in this. You have people who believe that you can sleep with as many people as you want to in marriage. You have so many different definitions of what marriage is, and then you go out and you ask, and I said, well, you say I'm a Jehovah's Witness, and then automatically I put you in that category, not even understanding what your definition is for marriage. So a lot of times those things can be deceiving, and then the media has a lot of power. Because media projects things that they want you to believe, they want you to receive, and ignorantly we follow behind them. So again, if the media is saying, because who is to really say that Christians are at a 50% rate? Who said that? Somebody had to project those numbers to us, and so they may have found 100 Christians.
I was just going to say that.
And they may have found 100 worldly folks. And then the 100 Christians said, well, 50 of us ended in divorce. And then 100 people over here said, well, 75 of us stayed married. And so then they project that out there, well, this is what it is for Christians. So again, you have to be leery and conscious of when you hear about statistics. But we know that it happens because we see it in our own churches. We see people in our churches getting divorced. But again, even in the church, we hear every Sunday and Wednesday what the Word of God says. But that doesn't make us follow it. That doesn't make us do it. And I'm a firm believer that for everything, every situation, whether it's marriage or just general life, the answer is here. But if I don't go search for it, I don't go seek for it, I don't want to find it. And one of the things that came to my mind as we were sitting there, when we first started this group, it had a great intention, it had a great purpose, and you had great numbers. But when the truth is in, darkness has to flee. And the truth of the matter is, even as a believer, I don't want to hear that. No, what I'm doing is right. I ain't trying to hear that. So let me get up out of here, because they're trying to shed some light on and change what I'm doing. And you've seen people, individuals who come to the group, who say they want help, but leave because help is here. And here's the help. When we get through, my opinion don't mean nothing. If it ain't in the Word of God, listen what the Word of God said. God says, I hate divorce.
Yeah.
He said that for a reason. And he gave us the rules of how to operate in it. For a woman, this is what you're supposed to do. For a man, this is what you're supposed to do. And when we don't do that, then we end in divorce. God didn't end it. We ended it. We made the choice to say, oh, I'm done.
And that's what they were talking about the religions standpoints, was also about like what they did to prepare themselves before they got married. Catholics, American Catholics go through a whole, when you decide to marry, they sit down with the priest. They sit down, they go through a whole series of counseling when they talk about why is it that you want to marry this person? What are your spiritual convictions? What are these things that you hold dear in God? And then what are yours? And then we need to talk about this because you guys, I'm not going to divorce you guys. You know, we're going to hash all this out before we walk up to that altar. So they talk about all these things before they lay that foundation right there before all of that. And I don't necessarily see that being practiced enough in Christian churches where they have that kind of foundation where they talk to them. They get so excited about, oh, you're going to get married, you know, that kind of thing.
For 1 minute.
For 1 minute. Because I was watching even like David's Bridal and all these little bridal shops. They're making a fortune off of the divorce rate. I mean, that white dress is no longer just that one dress that you pass down to your daughter. Now you're passing down like 4 or 5 dresses. You know?
Oh, we know.
You know, do you want strapless or do you want like crisscross in the back? You know, that kind of.
It's like for entertainment now. It's like entertainment. I can get married after big weddings, and then next week I'm divorced.
Kim Kardashian, 72 days, in and out. You know, that's.
It's like a facade now.
To me, that was like, I know, she made a lot of money off of it too, but I did not appreciate watching that whole fiasco and then knowing how quickly it was for her to get married and get out of it. And I didn't respect that. And I didn't respect seeing that happening so often. You know, so for me, I'm a single person, so I'm terrified of divorce. I'm absolutely terrified of it. I'm a child of divorce. I'm a product of divorce. So I've seen what divorce has done to a family. I've seen how they treat each other, how they treat the children. Seen all of that, don't like it. You know, I don't like it. So when I look at it from a religious standpoint, I feel that if my parents really were honest with themselves, then they would have just passed in the night, you know? They would have just gone, you know? Would have saved me a whole lot of heartache, you know?
But see, something else that you have to be encouraged and be conscious of is that Pastor talked about there's 2 sides. So for every time you see a successful marriage, the devil will show you 50 that are unsuccessful.
Right.
And you said that you're fearful of it, but God doesn't give us a spirit of fear. So we know where that comes from, and because of your past, and because of the present of what you see in media, and what you see with your friends, and all of that. But the other thing we need to know is that God called you to be married. Because God didn't call everybody to be married. And so if I go into marriage because you got married or because you got married, I'm already setting myself up for failure because, again, I didn't go to God and say, God, is there somebody that you have for me? God, am I supposed to be married, or am I supposed to commit my life to ministering to other people, to helping other people? It's not everybody's not meant to be married. And so you automatically set yourself up. And I used to do Christian counseling. And you talk about that. Most established churches have ministers, family ministers that do counseling. But you can have all those things in place. If people don't want to come, they're not going to come. I counseled 2 couples just recently. I think they made it maybe 5 weeks. And they found out some things about one another that they didn't really want to hear. They found out the solution and the answers. And so you know what they did? No, they didn't separate. They went and they